as you understand it, is their problem with you competing?
I'm legally and medically female.
Okay, Karen.
Woman, attitude female.
But people who oppose my existence
No one is opposing your existence.
still want to think of me as male.
That's because you are.
They use the language of that I'm a man.
You are.
And so there's this stereotype that men are always stronger than women.
It's not a stereotype.
Males can run faster, jump longer, throw further, and lift heavier than females. They outperform females by 10% on the running track to 30% when throwing various balls. So big is the gap, there are 9,000 males between 100-metre world record holders Usain Bolt and Flojo. So early does the gap emerge. The current female 100-metre Olympic champion, Elaine Thompson, is slower than the 14-year-old schoolboy record holder. So unassailable the gap has proven to be, virtually all elite sports have a protected female category to allow females to compete fairly against those with the same female potential.
And so if you think of trans women as men,
Trans women are men who self-identify as women.
then you think there's an unfair advantage.
Typically, when it comes to sports, men are physically faster, smellier, dirtier, and hungrier than women are. That is a certified true fact, as diagnosed by the Dr. famous artist Birdy to you, Sir, Madame, they then say.
So if you want to say, well, I believe you're a woman for all of society except this massive central part that is sport.
This is actually where I think you're right, because it does seem hypocritical to say that you're a woman no different to any other woman everywhere else except for in sports.
So fairness is the inclusion of trans women.
The dictionary definition of fair is to be without cheating or trying to achieve an unjust advantage. I find that really ironic.
Do you think you'd have been a world champion cyclist if you hadn't transitioned?
I don't think I am a world champion because I'm a trans woman.
Isn't it strange that we never heard of you as a champion athlete until you identified as a woman?
I put in the work.
Woman,
I've lost against the specific cis women.
Here's another bloke who seems to be claiming that there's such thing as a cis woman.
Complaining about me being unfair.
Wind your neck in.
There is an undisputable advantage for men in sport, isn't there?
We talk about men being faster than women.
The physical differences between male and female bodies is widely acknowledged.
A UK-based rapper basically identified as a female and broke British women's weightlifting records.
I'm not a professional powerlifter, but even I myself, I can stroll into the gym on any given day and I can break the British women's bench press record.
We have to be very careful what we're talking about.
Males have a physiological advantage over women. So in most sports, most physical sports, we do not have males compete with females. Males that transition to females have a significant advantage in their breaking world records.
10%, 12% advantage in most scientific opinions.
At the elite level.
You are at the elite level.
So by that logic, would you not have male or female categories whatsoever?
I think that's a great question. I think that's a different question.
You've talked a lot of shit, ain't you?
you need a good.
So I think it's not fair to trans people to say, well, in order to fix whether to include you in sport, let's just radically shift how we do sport.
Here's your lineup. Girls, 100-meter final lane one.
The first race that I competed against a transgender athlete was during my freshman year. And once the gun went off, the two transgender athletes took off flying and left all of us girls in the dust. I knew right then and there that some girls would be missing out on great opportunities to succeed, and that women could be completely eradicated from their own sport.
Within a sport, you can be successful with massively different body compositions.
I want to wrestle a kid right now. Because
You gonna box a child, nigga?
I'm going to box a fucking child. There's no difference. We the same.
Yeah, we all on the same playing field.
We're the same playing field.
So
He got hands, I got hands.
Men's tennis and women's tennis are completely almost two separate sports. So I'm like, if I were to play Andy Murray, I would lose 6-0, 6-0 in 5 to 6 minutes, maybe 10 minutes.
We talk about men being faster than women.
And here's the thing about the 2 biological males that took the top 2 girls' medals in the state of Connecticut. Their times were not even good enough to qualify them to compete in the state championships on the boys' team. Let me say that again in case you missed it. Their times were not good enough to qualify them for the boys' state championships.
So even before I get to the track, I already know that I'm not going to get first place or maybe even second place. And it's really hard knowing that because I know that no matter how hard I work, I won't be able to have the top spot.
If Chris Hoy was to transition and then compete at a masters level against Victoria Pendleton, he would beat Victoria Pendleton.
Would he? Would Chris? We don't actually know that.
You're talking shit.
Again, we are making this massive assumption.
We're not making random assumptions, mate. It's not as if we've only just landed on planet Earth and we've got no idea what men and women are or what the possible differences or the possible advantages could be between the sexes.
But I think that's a fair assumption to make.
I don't
you?
know.
Mate, what are you saying?
We haven't seen this in the rest of sport.
Stop lying. We've seen this in other sports and it is actually extremely well documented.
Her MMA fighter has said she wants a license to fight in California.
Fallon Fox powers her up like a pretzel.
You guys are out of your mind if you think that a man who has been a man for 30 years and has taken female hormones for 2 is the same.
Biological male has just become the first transgender person to win a world title in cycling.
The estrogen actually helps you retain bone mass. So when a man transitions to a woman and then starts taking estrogen, it's actually helping retain the bone mass that he would have lost by not having testosterone.
Weightlifter winning her maiden international event as a woman.
We haven't seen this in the rest of sport.
Fallon Fox powers her up like a pretzel.
One thing we can do is we can keep women from getting beaten up by men.
What, you mean like Fallon Fox who cracked a woman's skull?
Fox to the knees and that's it. Fallon Fox.
You're fucking crazy. What was going on here was this woman who used to be a man for 32 years transitioned to being a woman and it didn't tell anybody. And fought 2 different women who thought they were fighting a woman and got fucking smashed.
Badly injured, yeah.
You did just get kneed to the chin just 7 days ago, and that looked pretty brutal.
Fox to the knees and that's it.
At the time of the fight, you didn't know that Fallon Fox was born a man.
Fox to the knees and that's it.
Why do you think that that's important for you or any other opponent of Fox's to know?
So we are aware and be able to be better prepared for the situation.
Well, I was watching it. It was like watching a man fight a woman. That's what I was watching.
What do you think you need to be better prepared for?
Well, just knowing that, help me here.
Just what she's trying to say is just knowing that what you're getting into.
Literally watching a former man beat up women.
So when you ask me, well, here's this potential case. What should we do now with real people based on this potential fantasy case?
Gaslighting is a form of manipulation involving distorting the truth in order to confuse or instill doubt in another person's sense of reality.
That is not how human rights work.
I don't think men demanding to be allowed to play in female sports should be considered a human right.
It's absolutely insane. First, the fact that it's allowed to begin with is a real sign of cultural insanity, but it's narcissistic beyond comprehension.
Is it more important that trans women feel that they're included than to maintain a category within sport?
I think you're asking me, is trans women inclusion more important than fairness in sport?
No.
But again, my point is that trans inclusion is fairness.
Stop gaslighting.
It is unfair to exclude legal and medical women, trans women, from women's sport.
What is a legal or medical woman? If trans women are women, then why do they need to call themselves trans women? And if they're women, then what did they transition to and what did they transition from?
So this is much bigger than sport in that it's the proxy for all of trans inclusion.
This is so stupid, absolutely ridiculous. Do you hear what he's saying here?
You accept that there may still be an advantage?
Is it possible? Yes.
I'm glad you agree. Are you going to stop competing in female categories?
However, talk of bathrooms has shifted into sport by people who don't care about sport.
At best, this is disingenuous. At worst, this is complete and utter bullshit.
Woman, add a human female.
Don't do that. Sorry. It's disgusting.